Let me introduce our panel to you. First, let me introduce our guest, Anumita Roy Chaudhary. Hi, Anumita.
Hi.
In the studio is Anand and Raman Kirpal.
If you really look at what Delhi has tried to do to control its pollution, it's not small actually. So this is the only city in the country to have shut down all its coal power plants. Its entire public transport and local transport, commercial transport is on natural gas. It has phased out its old commercial vehicles. We still require another 60% reduction to be able to meet the standards specified for PM 2.5.
The Delhi government spent a lot of money in showing ads that how their machines are working to, that they'll decay the parali ko jalao mat, don't burn the parali, but spray this medicine and it'll deteriorate, it'll decompose. But actually the spend on the ad was more than the usage of the product or something, right?
Like during pandemic, the two-wheeler sales slumped very naturally, but car sales did not, and they remained quite bullish to the extent last year they could even maintain a growth of 47%.
I remember in early 90s when I was a city reporter and we used to cover city, and we had to write our stories. So I remember that one particular phrase where we always used to quote that Delhi has a vehicular population of 20 lakh or so. And this was in early 90s. And today when my reporters are covering it and when I talk about vehicular population, it's more than a crore.
Around 11% of Delhi's open land area is occupied by vehicles. 11% of land area.
But in Delhi, Saddi Gaddi tells you how well-to-do we are. And in fact, in Chandigarh, it's even worse. In Chandigarh, my friends from Chandigarh tell me, "Oye, kisi ki driveway dekh ke don't assume how well-to-do they are. Even if they are Kangal, they will make sure they have a 30 lakh rupee car in the driveway." I was like, okay. Welcome to Chota Hafta. Now, Chota Hafta is but a small, Chota version of a complete weekly podcast, News Laundry Hafta. The News Laundry Hafta is where you get the week's news, what made the headlines, what didn't make the headlines, but the full version is available to subscribers only. And I don't mean YouTube subscribers, although YouTube subscribers are also very welcome, very, very grateful to you, but also to News Laundry subscribers, the paying subscribers who pay to keep news free. So you can also become a paying subscriber by clicking the subscription link. Now, what do you get if you're a paying subscriber? You get access to all our paywall content, all interviews, podcasts, and importantly, you get access to a full unedited Hafta, where you not only get to hear the week's news, but you get to hear the News Laundry editors' positions on matters. You get to see their biases, what are their prejudices. It's an exercise in transparency while also informing you, and we have a few quips and jokes and agreements and disagreements thrown in. So listen to the full Hafta, subscribe to News Laundry, and pay to keep news free. Here we go. अंग्रेज अपना लगान और न्यूज़ लॉन्ड्री अपना हफ्ता कभी नहीं छोड़ते. Welcome to another episode of Hafta. It has been an extremely busy news week. In fact, many of our reporters are out traveling, as are our editors. How many of our crew members and team members are out, sir, right now?
More than 10.
More than 10 are traveling right now and bringing you reports. In fact, the first few reports have already come in. And the News Laundry...
Mizoram Tanishka has reported 2-3 videos and 3 texts. She is back. Basant is still in, so Basant and Sudipto and Atul and the production team, they are in Raipur.
And apna Prateek is in Madhya Pradesh,
Prateek is in Madhya Pradesh. There is someone from TNM also in Madhya Pradesh. There's a team in Telangana also.
So the News Laundry TNM election fund to get you ground reports was set up for 44,17,000. That is how much it's going to cost us to do all this. So far, we have collected 14,81,000. As you know, our reportage is not paid for by any ads or governments or Adani ads or any Patanjali ads or Yogi ads or Kejriwal ads or BRS ads, which also went on an ad alert. It is funded entirely by subscribers. I'm hoping it is just the Diwali fatigue and because everyone's in a celebratory mood. But do click on the link in the show notes below or go to our website or go to the News Minute website and click on the link, because we depend entirely on you. We do not depend on any ads. So if you don't fund journalism, the inevitability is that journalism will have to be funded by large corporations and governments, in which case it is very difficult to actually be independent of power. Anumita, I'm not in Delhi, but are you?
Yes, I am.
And how is it right now?
So it's all very dull and grey outside, as you would expect, with pollution levels so high and so high for so many consecutive days. It's, I think, one of the very long smog episodes that we're experiencing right now.
And after 3 relatively clean years, right? Because the pandemic year was the cleanest I've experienced in Delhi for a long time. And then for some reason, even 21 and 22 weren't so bad. Suddenly it's back to what it used to be. Why is that?
So it's partly to do with, as we know, this is that the spike that we see around this time of the year in winter. One, of course, because the meteorology is changing around this time. This is the time when you have very cool and calm conditions. There is no wind to blow away the pollution. And therefore, what happens essentially, the air gets trapped. And if the air is trapped, whatever pollution is taking place in the city also gets trapped, and you see this sudden spiral happening.
You know, this thing that there's still air during this time, it gets colder, so there is that condensation, all that. We hear this every year. But tell me, I'm now, going to be 50 next year. So I've been coming to Delhi every year ever since I was a kid. I don't remember this in Delhi. Is it that we were too used to inhaling diesel fumes of DTC buses, so we didn't feel it? What has changed in 30 years? I mean, have wind patterns changed? Have the number of industries become too much, which means that industry and vehicles cause more pollution and not farm fires, in which case odd even should work? If actually vehicles are causing just an insignificant part of the pollution and farm fires are causing more, then there should be no odd even. Yeah, every year everyone payloads their own thing. Do we have any clarity, or actually genuinely people don't know because there is no data on this?
What we really need to keep in mind that Delhi's air pollution battle is actually quite old. It's more than 2 decades old. And when this had started to draw attention around the late 90s, in fact, it had started with the first decision to remove all the polluting industry out of the city. The first generation action that we had seen, and the character of pollution that you are talking about, that, what has changed now. But if you try and remember, at that point of time, the problem of pollution was more about the black smoke from chimneys and the black smoke from the tailpipes of vehicles. We actually do not see the black smoke anymore.
Exactly. Sorry if I may comment. This has got to do with the MC Mehta when he went to court, right? The environmental lawyer MC Mehta, and a lot of people gave Sheila Dikshit credit, but actually it was a Supreme Court order based on MC Mehta, which is when CNG and unleaded fuel came in.
That's right. So what has changed is, so in the first generation action, what you tried to do is to get rid of diesel. So you moved all your diesel public transport and local commercial transport out of diesel to natural gas. And that happened before, about a decade ago. And with that, in fact, if you look at the air quality trend between 2002 and 2008, it was kind of stabilizing, coming down. But again, it begins to increase. Now, what has happened after that is...
Does it have anything also to do with Punjab traditionally not really growing paddy, right? Because Punjabis are not rice eaters. But for whatever considerations maybe Anand will tell us about, a lot of farmers in Punjab and Haryana, which traditionally wouldn't grow rice, have started growing rice. And this basically is setting fire to paddy fields, right? They aren't setting fire to any other fields.
Rice is a very water-intensive crop, and Punjab is a rainfall deficient region. So it's not very naturally suited for rice cultivation. But because of the influx of migrant labor and other kinds of investment opportunities, the kind of MSP that rice fetches, there have been incentives. It has incentivized rice cultivation, and not only the adverse environmental effects has been on the air, but also on the water table.
Because of this restriction on groundwater extraction before June in Punjab, that delays the sowing period. And therefore, the farmers are left with very short window after the harvesting of paddy to be able to clear the field and then to change over to the next crop. And that what leads to this desperation to just put fire there. Now, obviously, the solutions are unknown, and the policy support has already come for all of these solutions. So, one clearly, the farmers have been asked that don't burn, but use these CRM machines, which will help them to mix the straw with the when they are doing the sowing for the next harvest. So, if you mix it with soils, it kind of leads to a mulching of the straw instead of burning it and harming the soil health. Now,
Delhi's roads add, I think, 3,000 vehicles a month, if I'm not wrong. I'll just check what it is. And if that's the kind of vehicles that are being added every month, I'm wondering if that is going to outdo any progress we make on any other front, Anumita?
absolutely. So that is the biggest worry. So when I said that, Delhi still has to do a lot more. So one of the biggest policy gap or action gap is in the transportation sector. Now, today, what we are finding that even after doing all of that, they try to do with fuel substitution by improving the technology of the vehicle. Vehicles are today the largest contributor to the particulate concentration in the city.
Apart from the value of vehicles as physical mobility and things that have incentivized, the growing middle class also contributes to it, because ownership of vehicles are seen as the first sign of social mobility. So if you are not owning a vehicle, you are somewhere down in the ladder of social hierarchy.
Now, coming to Anand, your chief minister made a statement which has pissed off a lot of people. I also saw it here. I think it's very crude language for an assembly, and I mean, if we have people watching proceedings in the assembly, I do think it's very crude. How big of an issue is this in Bihar? And Nitish apologized rather quickly. Does that mean he was looking that he'll have to pay an electoral price for this?
He apologized because it does not go well with his image. He is considered to be a man of measured words, not a great orator, but very measured speaker, and who chooses his words carefully. That's also because there was a time, it may not suit his political strength now, when he was projected as a prime ministerial figure, and even now he may be fancying in some sort of weird situation he could still be. So when you somehow juxtapose him against, say, Prime Minister Modi, and to associate himself with crude language would not go well with that. So an apology is the least he could offer.
No, I think the problem was with the language. The problem wasn't with the line of thinking that he had. I think the problem was with the language, and especially if you're talking in assembly, it's a public platform, and using this kind of vocabulary or the words, I think that was the problem. Otherwise, he just suggested another way of family planning, where if the woman is in a way,
educated and empowered.
How I take it, he is saying that the males have failed in controlling families. The males have failed in family planning.
बस मुफ्त में इतना ही मिलेगा. For the full uncut podcast, subscribe to News Laundry and pay to keep news free. The best way to listen to The Hafta and indeed all our podcasts is through the News Laundry app. You can download the app by clicking on the links given in the show notes. So do download our app and get the best podcast experience. And also pay for news and support a new news media ecosystem that News Laundry is trying to encourage, where we are accountable to you because we run on contributions that you make. We don't take government ads, we don't take corporations ads, so that news serves the public, because when the public pays, the public is served. Subscribe to News Laundry, click on the link in the show notes below, and proudly say, I pay to keep news free.